How have myself or my community been affected by houselessness?
Yeah.
You mean like the Santa Cruz community or what?
Yeah, your community or people you know, but also
Yeah.
you.
I think people in the community are affected differently by things like that,
Mhm.
especially in 2020 here in Santa Cruz County,
Yeah.
whenever people were dealing with the pandemic the way they were, and also dealing with low amounts of property and housing availability,
For sure.
especially rental properties.
Mhm.
And to make those situations even more unique, we were dealing with situations like this, for example. This would just be one example of many, or maybe one example of some of the common ones that people could relate to from all demographics and all walk of life. And what one of those situations would be is in 2020 here in Santa Cruz, when people were working from home, when the pandemic hit and people were working from home, they all of a sudden were co-housing with their partners and or housemates in ways in which they wouldn't have had to do to such a large extreme.
For sure.
So it made times sort of interesting at home. All of a sudden people were around each other 24/7 and just instead of just a few hours a day. So situations like that caused a lot of people to have to sort of decide how they wanted to handle life. A lot of people took projects out of state because of that. And then now you're seeing like an influx of people who made a little bit of money while they were out of state. Now they came back and like, hey, I don't exactly have enough money for another apartment, but maybe I have enough money to get started on an epic adventure. So you're seeing like a rise in outdoor athletes and outdoor like hardcore people who are maybe taking on bicycle adventuring and things. But a lot of that's mental and so of course some physical as well. So you have to sort of make sure that if you are living outdoors that you stay on top of your game. There's no room for error and there's no room for mishap. You really have to look at it like a game of chess. You can either win or lose. And I think that's really one of the biggest things to take away from this is the fact that there's not a lot of housing available, and what little bit there is, one has to decide how they're going to spend their time and how they're going to acquire the needs for that sort of thing.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that insight.
Right on.
Let's see. What kind of resources or information do you think the community, like at large, or you personally need about houselessness?
What do I think? What? Say that again, please.
What resources or information, basically, do you think should be more available to the community at large, or you personally?
Yeah, as far as this community goes, it's varied, right? There's a lot of different individuals with a lot of different backgrounds and walk of life, demographics, and also ethnicities and so forth. What this community needs more of is places for people to shower.
Yeah.
There's not enough places for people to stay clean. There's also not enough places for people to be able to live outdoors should they need to do so. Also, this city, particularly of Santa Cruz, needs to really wake up on the environmental damage that they're causing by allowing people to occupy this San Lorenzo River area. That's an area that is very unique in this country. In fact, that in the idea that the waterway that the San Lorenzo is, as it comes through the Santa Cruz Mountains and then feeds into the Pacific Ocean here through a protected environmental area called Monterey Bay Sanctuary. What they've allowed to do here in Santa Cruz for political or social gain, I'm not sure exactly what the reason is, they've allowed people to have encampments along there.
Yeah.
And now the water is full of algae blooms that are man-made by feces. That is unacceptable. There needs to be people like you and I that stand up against that. And if the government won't do it, city government won't do it, I hate law enforcement as much as the next person, but we need federal activity to come in here and say, hey, that's unacceptable, move now, and then decide later what you're going to do about it, not the other way around.
Okay.
And a lot of that idea can be applied across the board to situations in communities like this, but really people just need to be cared for a little bit in small ways that don't require a lot of monetary action, like clothing would be great, food accessibility is good, and of course showering is important, and then being able to sleep, because most of the mental illnesses that you see in areas like this are environmentally created. People don't have rest, and they don't have clean bodies, and they don't have fuel to feed their body with food, and that creates problems in the mind. So those are areas that really need to be addressed.
Yeah, thank you. Let's see. I think my last question is there anything helping to keep you housed right now?
Is there anything helping to keep me housed?
Yeah.
currently I'm on what I call a bicycle adventure. So I'm like a hardcore professional traveler, and I do it on 2 wheels.
Sweet.
So keeping me housed, I don't actually live within the domains of a building right now.
Nice.
I am a primal individual, and I tapped into being more primal about 60 days ago when I came back from a work project in the Midwest of the United States. So being intelligent and a go-getter like I am, I have found ways to live within a system as best I can. But some of the things I told you are ways in which people need to be able to, they're just ways in which can help people live within a system regardless of their situation. Not everyone is blessed to either be healthy enough to do things like I'm doing, or they're also, unfortunately, in a city like this, they condone the use of pharmaceutical drugs and other processed drugs like methadone and heroin. If a city is going to if you're going to have a mafia ring running the current heroin ring within this town, within this area of downtown and then Levy, and then those people can't get their heroin, they either go get methadone, which is approved by the city, and or they can steal stuff very easily down here and then trade high value stuff for low value heroin. It creates a system, and then the cops in this area, they feed off of that. They train law enforcement here on weak-minded criminals. They put them in and out of this system. It's making tons of money for Santa Cruz. Santa Cruz needs to break down to the dust and rubble of concrete and sand to be rebuilt. Things are not correct in an area like this, and we all have to get together to speak about that and to know about that, because guys like that are the ones who keep this system going. And you can see it. You can see it in the eyes of the old timers who are between 50 and 70. And I'm not making a generalization saying everyone is that way, but you can see a large percentage of a community like this that is against the idea of progression for people who may have the thumb down on them, regardless if it's government created, community related, or if the person brought it upon themselves.
Yeah. Thank you.
And that's opening up a can of worms, but hey, what can you do?
It is a big can of worms, but it's like an interesting and important one. So thank you for talking to me about it. And that's all my questions. Do you mind sharing your name, age, and if there's a neighborhood in Santa Cruz you live in? It's okay if you don't.
I don't mind giving a little bit of information. My name is community member of Santa Cruz. I am one with the sun and the stars. I live at peace with the entire universe, and I will continue to do that for a very long time.
Okay.
I'm currently 47 years old. I was born in 1974. Those transverse, 74 and 47.
Nice.
So this is a very interesting year for me. 2020 was one of my best years ever. 2021 has been an equally or better year for me.
Nice.
So I'm stoked to be alive. I'm stoked to be happy.
Sweet. Thank you so much for talking to me. I really appreciate it.
Right on.
Yeah. You said
Thanks for
really
being out here, guys. I hope you do well with your stuff today.
Thank you.
Bye.